Welcome to Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League, presented by ChangeUp. I'm Owen Shadrick. Thanks again for joining me here today. The Vermont Lake Monsters are probably the hottest team in the league right now after starting 0-3. They have won 7 in a row for a record of 7-3. The Bravehearts, though, are in first place at 7-2. Westfield also at 7-3, followed by the Brockton Rocks at 4-5, the Suns at 4-6, and the Silver Knights, Sea Unicorns, and Bees, each with 3 wins. Everybody trying to climb to that first place spot. It was Westfield's that last week. It is Worcester's this week. Good slate of games coming up. We've got our first off day today, so thank you for tuning into this podcast on the off day. We had some other big news in the Futures League circles this week as 12 Division III players were named All-Americans, including our guest on this podcast. And Jack Choate was named a D2 All-American, so congratulations to all of those guys. For today's podcast, we've got Jackson Hornung from the Westfield Starfires. Bullens Magic has been on full display so far, and he's been a big part of that as he's hitting .516 out of the gate. He talks about how he got to Westfield, the environment at Bullens, his relationship with new manager Kyle Dembrowski, and his incredible career at both Skidmore thus far and at Ashland High School. It's a good one. Thank you guys again for tuning in, watching, and listening. Follow us on social media. Let's get you to this interview. Here is Jackson Hornung. We are honored to be joined by our next guest here on Back to the Futures. He has had a scorching start to the summer, and you could say that he is the star of the Starfires and here this far into the season. It's Jackson Hornung of the Westfield Starfires. Jackson, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well, man. And out of the gate, as I mentioned, you seem to be the star of the Starfires. You're hitting .516. You got 2 doubles, a triple, and 12 RBIs. You only have 2 games without multiple hits, which seems insane here just about a week and a half into the season. How have you felt so far?
You know, I've been feeling good. The boys on the team instill a lot of confidence in me, so it definitely helps and makes everything a little easier.
Yeah, you talk about the boys on the team. You guys are red hot out of the gate. You're 7-2. How do you guys keep it going and keep this up and try and sustain the success all year?
It's just the culture. All the guys are really close right now, and which is a really good thing, which I wasn't expecting this early on in the summer. But everyone's really close. We got a good bond going, and we're just having fun, and that's a big thing. Is we're having fun and we're staying loose, but we also want to win, and I think that's the big part of it because you can't take it too seriously, but you definitely gotta have confidence in yourself and in your teammates. So it definitely helps us succeed.
Yeah, and you talk about that success, and that's what the Morehouses and Thompsons try and instill into the Westfield culture. What have you felt so far about the environment, both based on what the ownership has been doing and what the fans provide there at Bullens Field?
Oh, Bullens Field is awesome. From day one, we saw Bullens Magic with all the little kids running around and asking for autographs and everything. So that was a really cool thing. And I know a lot of the other guys also think it's awesome to see all the fans there and all the support we get from the whole staff. Everyone's always wants us to succeed and just see us win, and everyone is just awesome there. So it's great to be a part of it.
Yeah, and we're going to go ahead here with our Zephyr question of the day, presented by Zephyr, the official on-field hat of the Futures League. Zephyr, high quality and innovative design since 1993. Do you believe in Bullens Magic, and what's one example that you've seen of it so far?
Oh, I mean, it's not do I believe in it. It's obviously real, But I'd say one of many I've seen so far in such a short season would be a pinch hit home run by Jack Wentworth to tie the game in the bottom of the 10th with 2 outs. Just everyone was there. Everyone felt it. And that was the first game we could have felt it, and it was right there. So definitely that was definitely it.
Yeah, there is no way that Bullens Magic is not real. It is a thing. It continues to amaze the league, everybody. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hold on, we'll get right back to the Futures, but first, we want to share a message from our friends at 78 Sports. Do you have kids playing baseball or softball? We all know practice time is limited, especially here in New England, not to mention the cost of lessons and cage time can add up very quickly. Save yourself time and money by giving your kids what they need to work on their game at home. Our friends at 78 Sports can help you put together the perfect at-home training setup. Whether you want to start small with just a tee and a net, or looking to set up a full cage with turf and a pitching machine, they have you covered. And I've used their stuff before. I've seen their facilities. They definitely cover everything. The team at 78 Sports design and install hundreds of at-home and commercial sports training facilities, so let them help you find the perfect setup for your space. Visit the 78 Sports website at 78sports.com. That's SEVENTY, the number 8, sports.com. For a limited time only, by just mentioning Back to the Futures, you'll receive a 10% discount off your order. That's SEVENTY, number 8, sports.com. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
And talk about your relationship with new manager Kyle Dembrowski. He's done a very good job so far, obviously, as you guys are off to a hard start. What has he taught you about the game, and kind of how is he kind of wrangling this team and continuing the success?
Well, he's not trying to change too much as we're succeeding right now, but he's definitely been a huge part of why we're winning so many games. He tries to keep us loose and just have fun with the game, and he knows a lot of the guys on the team are really good players, so he just tries to use that to his advantage. Just fix the little things, not change too much, and just try to keep finding success in everything we do. And just, when we fail, not to be afraid of failure. I think that was one of the biggest things he said. Don't be afraid of failure, which this is a game of failure. You fail 7 times out of 10 and you're still going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. So you know what I mean? So he just says, don't be afraid of failure. I mean, and that'll bring more success as the season comes.
Yeah, that's a great mentality, because, I fail a lot on this podcast and I always like to build myself back up, So, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate that. How did you end up in Westfield originally? Obviously, everybody has their own stories about how they got in contact with the league. We'll talk about your spring season in a second, but how did you end up in Westfield?
Well, I've been looking to try to play in the Futures for a couple of years now, but haven't had much success with it. But this past season, one of my roommates and teammates up at Skidmore, he had contacted Westfield, and they had been looking at him, and he also had told him about me. So they had called my coach and just had asked about how I was as a player, person, everything, and then it ended up working out. I got a spot, and then my spring season I think helped a little bit. So it definitely was nice to get on a team, and I'm happy. I couldn't be happier that I'm here. So it worked out for the best.
Yeah, and let's get into that spring season in a second. Naming every single accolade you won may take the entire podcast episode, but we'll start with the big one. You were the player of the year for the Liberty League and first team, along with 2 of your teammates. What was it like to earn those accolades, not only for yourself, but also for your teammates?
Oh, I mean, it was awesome. Having just our program have accolades like that just can help build us up. We got a great team and a lot of guys behind me that just pick me up and I pick them up, and the whole team picks everyone up. And Coach Plore does a great job and keeps everyone up and just tries to help us succeed and stay positive throughout the entire season, because this is our first full season in a while. So it was definitely a different aspect, having a long season, 40 games. So just having the guys behind us and just keep us positive and always up, just couldn't be better.
Yeah, and from the team awards and the league awards to the national awards, this is crazy. You were named to the 2022, here we go with this, American Baseball Coaches Association, ABC, or the ABCA, Rawlings, NCAA Division III All-Region First Team, and the D3 Baseball First Team All-American. You had a crazy year. You hit 460, 8 home runs, 51 RBIs, 54 runs scored. Were you seeing the ball pretty well, I think, maybe a little bit?
Yeah, it was definitely looking big this year.
And so just talk about those awards for a second, what they mean to you.
Well, awards personally don't mean too much to me, but it's definitely cool to be recognized like that. And I know definitely with some kids on my team, it helps push them to try to catch me, and I want them to catch me. There's a kid on our team that I know is going to do everything that I did this year, but probably better, 10 points higher, 20 points higher, more home runs, more hits. So, and if that helps push him towards that, then I did my job right.
Yeah, you did your job. That was the most important thing, obviously. And during that incredible season, you had an 18-game hit streak and also had a 30-game on-base streak. When you get in those types of grooves, how do you stay focused? What's your mentality? What are you thinking day in and day out? Are you thinking about it?
I try not to think too much. I think when I think too much, I get in my head, and then that's when you don't see so much success. So, I just try to stay loose, just try to have fun, because that's one of the biggest things. If you're not having fun, then you can't really succeed. So whenever I'm having fun, I feel loose, and that's when I feel at my best.
Yeah, it's super important. And let's talk about more of the team success. You guys enjoyed a solid 2022 season, finished with a record of 23-12-2 and a top spot in the Liberty League East. It was most wins in a season for Skidmore since the conference championship team of 2012. What was it like being part of that and helping basically put Skidmore on the map for in the baseball department?
Oh, it was awesome to see that. You know, we started off really hot, and we're seeing all these things like, oh, this is the first time Skidmore's won the first 6 games of the year, and you know, everyone's like, wow, we got something special going. And just to see all the guys come together, from the freshmen all the way up to our seniors and our senior captains, it was just, you could just see the culture just becoming like so good. And you know, just you see the success and everyone wants to succeed, and you see everyone's always positive and picking each other up. So it was just awesome to be a part of that. And we got a great coaching staff, which helped so much, because if you're not playing for someone, you know, that you don't like, you know, it's hard. And to be able to play for people that we care about and they care about us and they're great people, it's just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, your coaches got some recognition as well, and clearly it was well deserved, as you guys had a great year. And I ask this to everyone that plays Division III baseball because I think it's super important to ask: how much pride do you take in playing for a Division III school?
Oh, it's awesome. You know, we don't really think about like the different divisions. You know, it's not a big deal for us. We just want to keep playing the game we love. And you know, some of the talent I've seen in Division III has been awesome. You know, you see guys from all over that you're like, these guys are really good players. And you know, it's awesome to play for a school like Skidmore and see the guys we play against. And so it's just been awesome. We love it here. So
Yeah, and certainly that must have been a process, your recruiting process. You're an Ashland, Mass native. We'll get to your high school days in a minute, and you go to a New York school. How did you end up at Skidmore?
one of my friends in high school, uh, we were looking at schools, and they told me about the Liberty League in Skidmore specifically. And I had personally never heard of it, but I looked into it because it was also 25, 30 minutes away from my grandparents. So I was like, that's a good spot to be. So I went to the camp, and you know, if you go to Saratoga Springs, you can't not fall in love with that place. You know, it's awesome from the town to the school itself. So it was definitely kind of an easy decision there. So it worked out.
Yeah, it certainly worked out. And going back in time here at Ashland High, you seem like the big man on campus there, the three-sport athlete: football, hockey, and baseball. You led all three to the sectional finals in the same year. You tired at all after that?
Uh, no, I mean, you know, sometimes, but it's definitely fun to play those different sports and be able to make different relationships with a lot of different people. And so I wish I could have had another season of all three of those sports. So with my high school buddies, but it was definitely fun.
And talk about the preparation for that, because I mean, you got to play three. It's hard hitting sports too. It's not like these are like, you're not, I'm not going to name I'm not going to name other sports that I'm thinking in my head, but what is the preparation like when you're going into school year, knowing that it's literally, you're going from football right to hockey, right to baseball?
Well, the transitions are definitely tough, but you know, when you're looking forward to a new season, like by the end of the football season, and once Thanksgiving comes around, you know, you get really sad. Then you're like, okay, I got hockey season. So you get prepared for that, and you get a whole new group of guys, and which is pretty similar to the year before, so you know who you're coming in with. And it's a sport you've been playing your whole life, so it's a lot of fun to be able to get into it. But the transition is definitely tough. I mean, from football, you get conditioned, but then and you think you're in really good shape, and then you get on the ice, and the first game of the year comes around, and you can barely skate for 30 seconds on a shift. The cold air, I don't know if it's the cold air, I don't know what it is, but it is tough. But then I'd say the transition from hockey to baseball is a lot easier because you get a little bit more time in between. I think we get at least 2-3 weeks before we really ramp up, and you know, you can't get outside for a while, so you're inside. So it's definitely an easier transition, but easier doesn't mean it's easy in general. So
Yeah, no, that can't be easy. I can't imagine that being easy in any facet whatsoever. All right, let's go into football for a little bit. You were the quarterback. You helped lead your team to the South Final on a last-minute touchdown your senior year. What was your experience like on the gridiron overall?
It was awesome. I didn't start playing until my sophomore year of high school, but I wish I started earlier. I mean, it's a great sport, and I think the bonds that you make in football are just kind of like no other. I'm not sure why, but it just kind of is. Guys that you never really knew all of a sudden are your brothers, and it's a large team. I think we had like 80 guys or something, so you meet a lot of new faces. But it was just one of the best sports to be a part of. Seeing like everyone come together on Friday nights it was awesome. So
Yeah, there's nothing quite like a high school football game on a Friday night. It's just yeah. When when you're there and you're well, for me when you're cheering, but I imagine when you're playing, it's a whole different ball game.
Hmm.
And let's go to hockey for a minute. You were the Tri-League MVP, and you guys knocked off Hanover to make the semifinals and ended up in the South Final. The insanity continues with you. What was it like playing hockey at Ashland?
that was awesome. Hockey is probably the sport I played for the longest in my life, and it's a great sport. I mean, I love it. I wish I could still be playing on the ice and stuff every once in a while, but the pond hasn't been my friend the past couple of years. But it was a great sport to play. I got to play with a lot of my friends in high school, and I met a lot of guys earlier in my life playing hockey. So it's just it's very close to me.
Yeah, and I'll wrap up the high school questions by asking this. Looking back on it, what was your favorite part about high school and playing all of those sports?
Oh, that's tough to think for a second. I would say, hmm, I would just say the relationships. The best part about it was you meet guys that you might have gone to school with for 10, 15 years before that, but you never really got to know them until you got on the field with them and you wanted to just succeed so much together. So it was nice to be able to have your guys that you grew up with and also the new guys you meet, and you just become really close with everyone, and then you have those relationships for life. So I think that would definitely be the most important part of it too.
Yeah, based on the I was considering not asking. I like the question, but I was considering not asking it because I already got the answer. It seemed like you were very close with all your teammates, and that's what you want for a high school experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Before we return to Back to the Futures, we want to share a message from our friends at Zorian Bat Company. Rob Zorian started the company Zorian Bat Company in 2003, literally out of the trunk of his car in Davie, Florida. Within 2 years, he was selling his wood bat line to Major League Baseball and continues to manufacture the highest grade wood bats for Little League all the way up to the majors. Rob Zorian, founder and president of Zorian, says, I started the company in 2003 to service all baseball players in the United States and beyond. And after 19 years, our mission has not changed. We are very excited to have the opportunity to work with the Futures League and wish all of our players and coaches a healthy and successful season ahead. For more information about Zorian, visit their website, zorianbats.com. Zorian, America's baseball brand. Now, back to the Futures. And I'm going to wrap up with a few questions here about your position on the field. You were a catcher for both the Starfires and at Skidmore, but you weren't always a catcher. You actually played shortstop in high school. What was the transition like for switching positions, and what led to that?
Well, I caught earlier on in my life. I caught from little league up until high school and a little bit in the summertime. But I always loved also playing in the middle infield. So, and that was the spot I could play at in high school early on in my life. We got a lot of great catchers above me, so I just tried to get in my role that I could, and it ended up just rolling out the way that I just kept playing short and second in high school. But I knew, like, I loved catcher and I wanted to catch in college, and I wanted that to be a priority for me. So I started looking at schools that would allow me to do that, and Skidmore was one of them, and I'm so grateful for that. So the transition wasn't too bad, but I definitely missed short more than I thought, and I always try to convince my coach to let me play short, and he finally did this year. But yeah, it's funny because everyone in my high school knows I'm a shortstop, and it's like, oh, you catch now, and now everyone here in the Starfires and at Skidmore is like, you're a catcher, you can't play short. So it's definitely funny seeing that aspect to it, because you don't see those two positions very often, but So
No, not really. That's why
definitely
when I read it, I was like, shortstop to catcher. That's kind of weird. Like that seems like,
yeah.
well, I guess going the other way would be weirder, being a catcher playing shortstop. You talked to Kyle Dembrowski about getting you out on the middle infield yet? Or?
I always ask him. I'm always like, hey coach, I can play short. And he's just like, he just looks at me, doesn't say anything, just is like, okay. Just always says okay and just walks away. I'm like, yep, that makes sense. I probably wouldn't put me there right now either. So I don't blame him.
And one of the players you actually caught in at Ashland was Alex Amalfi, former pitcher for the Worcester Bravehearts. What's your relationship like with him?
Oh, we talk a lot. We're texting. We always shoot texts back and forth. Whenever we're both home, I always try to catch his pens. I'm always texting him like, hey, you want to throw a pen? And he's always texting me, hey, can you catch a pen? So, we got a good relationship going, and it's going to be, I can't wait to see him succeed this year in the summer. I watched him all in the spring, and it was just awesome to see how he just became just an insane baseball player. From seeing him play my entire life, we were teammates since we were young, to just grown up to just absolutely throwing gas. It's crazy because every one of us in high school, all the guys are like, I heard Alex is pretty good at baseball now. I'm like, yeah, very good at baseball, Yeah. So it's awesome to see that and see him succeed. So, and I can't wait to see what he does in the future with his baseball career.
Yeah, he had a stellar career with the Bravehearts, and it seemed like every week on Twitter, it was a new tweet about him having 15 plus strikeouts. And I was like, that's impossible. It was consistency in the strikeout department. So that's awesome that you guys have that relationship. And speaking of that, when catching, it's obviously important to have a good relationship with the pitcher, but in summer league, it kind of gets difficult when you're just meeting these guys for the first time. So how do you as a catcher approach that relationship with the pitcher? Is it talking to guys on day one? Is it talking to guys in the bullpen?
It's kind of a little bit of both. Some guys, everyone kind of comes in at different times. And this is kind of one of my first years having that like opportunity to catch and having to meet those new guys. So I just kind of seen what the other guys have done. And Nolan, he showed me he does a great job with it. He talks to all the guys, tries to catch as many pens as possible just to try to get them comfortable with us as well. And that's a big thing. But I also think the relationship itself, just off the field, is a big thing too. So, just trying to talk to the guys and getting to know them, like not just within baseball, helps a lot. Because if they can trust you off the field, they can trust you on the field.
Yeah, that's certainly important. And one more quick question about catching. Got to ask it. What's your pop time?
I have no idea.
No idea? Damn.
I would say in the spring, early spring, we'll say 2-0. But I don't think I've gotten it checked that much. So maybe I'll have Dembro do it today, and I'll shoot you a text to let you know.
I bet. Yeah, I gotta come to Westfield. We gotta compare pop times.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. One final question here before we sign off. A message to Starfire fans as you guys are 7-2 and cruising here at the start of the season.
Thank you so much for coming out so far in the season, and we love seeing you guys. And keep the Bullens Magic and the energy up, and hopefully we can keep succeeding for you guys. So we'll stay strong for you guys and just keep being positive.
Yeah, I got to keep being positive, keep that Bullens Magic alive, and I'm sure it will be. It'll be alive all summer long. Jackson, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. Best of luck with everything, and we'll see you at the Bull and around the Futures League soon.
Thank you, Owen.
All right, and this has been episode 2 of season 5 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League. We have new episodes coming out every Monday. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see everyone soon.